Welcome, Biddy fam, to #1 Daily Bitcoin Pod. In today's show, we'll be breaking down the latest Bitcoin technical analysis, as well as the latest breaking news. Brazil's largest bank to fund a new MicroStrategy copycat. That's right, they're going to be buying 210 million worth of Bitcoin just to start. And this is the first Latin American company dedicated to the Biddy. Bring it. Also breaking news, $3.5 billion coal mining company buys 42 million worth of Bitcoin as Biddy spreads like wildfire. We'll also be discussing Coinbase to launch a yield-bearing Bitcoin fund for the institutions. Institutional FOMO like a MOVO. Supply shock in play. Also, crypto ETPs hit the third largest inflows on record at $3.4 billion. Also, Strategy just added an additional 15,355 Bitcoin for a $1.42 billion purchase as Bitcoin price maintains above 90 G's. And also, Strategy is synthetically halving Bitcoin, according to an individual author and analyst named Adam Livingston. Interesting theory. I'll be breaking that down for you. We'll also be discussing Bitcoin could hit 210,000 this year. That's right. According to this top analyst at this firm, this has never been shared before, so I'm excited to share it. It's right in alignment with the power law model. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more, in today's show. If you're new to the channel, very important to smash the likes. Go ahead, subscribe. We're the #1 Daily Bitcoin Pod. Then ring the bell, turn on all notification, and raise your consciousness at the same time. Today is pod episode number 1976. I'm your host, JV. It's April 28th, 2025. A lot of bullishness in the market. So let's kick it off with our market watch, as we do each and every day. You can see Coin 360 pulled up on your screen. Pre-little bitty correcting just a little bit with a divine omen, down 0.11% on the day. You know, I love those 11s, rocking the 100K, which is a 10 on your screen. That's a sexy bitty blackjack, baby. We also have Ether correcting, XRP and BNB and SUI breaking out and in the green. And checking out coinmarketcap.com. The current crypto market cap currently sits at a staggering $2.94 trillion. The Bitcoin market cap, 1.862 trillion. We got roughly 87 billion worth of volume for the past 24 hours, meaning it's up 45% on the day. And the Bitcoin dominance is coming in on the rip at 63.4%. ETH dominance at 7.2%. And as Aerosmith once said, get a grip. Haha. Now, checking out top 100 crypto gainers of the past 24 hours. We got Deep leading the pack up 21%. That's a sexy bitty blackjack. Virtuals Protocol up 21% as well. And Monero up 15%. That's right, one of the top privacy projects there. It's been pretty quiet, though, I should say, for the past couple of cycles. Looking to make a next move. We also have the pudgy little penguins doing its thing. But which alts, if any broskies, are you bullish on for the bull? Holla. And checking out the crypto bubbles, we get a visual perspective on the day. And as you can clearly see on your screen, it's pretty divided, 50-50 red over green. And zooming out a little, we take a look at a weekly. This is a good sign. Virtually everything in the green. And zooming out on the monthly, hey now, I'd say 80-85% of the market in the green. Not too shabby, eh? And checking out the crypto greed and fear index. Today we're at 54 neutral. Yesterday at 61. Last week at 39. And last month at 26 in fear. And checking out the infamous time chain calendar. We have 155,676 blocks until the halving of 2028. And we're currently on block number 894,324. And as of today, you can exchange one fiat monopoly dollar for 1,064 sats. So pick up the sats, put down the gats, pick up some Bitcoin caps from my man Sergio over at bitcoincaps.net. But next story of the day, do a little astrology for the broskies, a little TA. Headline here reads, Bitcoin setting up for the break to the all-time high as capital flows into the Biddy ramp up, according to the on-chain analyst himself. Willy Woo, and also pull up some of the live charts here shortly. Veteran Biddy analyst Willy Woo, the OG himself, says the pretty little Biddy is setting up for a potential break of the new highs amid the growing capital flows. Posted on X, Woo shared with his 1.1 million followers, another divine omen, 1.1 million in play, that the fundamentals have turned bullish for the Biddy, and its current structure is not a bad setup for a breakout to new all-time highs. That's right. Quoting him here. Capital flows into the network are ramping up. Both total and speculative flows have bottomed. When both align, they join forces And the force is strong to make a bullish environment anchored in the fundamentals, and as outlined here in this chart showing you the Bitcoin network flows. The near term, Wu says there's a high chance of more sideways price action before the Bitty gains the strength for the next leg up, noting that his volume weighted average price indicator is relatively high. We refer to this as the VWAP, JV, mess them up indicator. It shows the average price of an asset over the period of time, but weighted for trading volume. Quoting him again. But in the short term, on-chain, the VWAP is at a 3 standard deviation, meaning it'll be hard to move upwards with a decent momentum due to the overextension. However, sideways action, or in the most bullish case, a slow grind upwards is the order of the day. Supersize that mofo. Bitcoin is setting up for another parabolic break to all-time highs if the capital flow trend continues. It's a solid long-term setup. All dips are for buying under the present regime. In the very short term, there are good chances of dips. Let me know if you agree or disagree with Willy Woo. And in other massive breaking news, Brazil's largest bank, Itaú, to fund a new MicroStrategy copycat called Orange Angels in the orange, angels in the cold storage. It's all in the orange. Just saying. Shout out Chandy 10. They will buy 210 million in Bitcoin just to start. This is the first Latin American company dedicated to the Bitty. So another Bitcoin acquisition company. And we just got the big news that Jack Mallers is going to be the CEO of another Bitcoin acquisition company backed by Tether and Howard Lutnick's company, Cantor Fitzgerald. The name of that one's 21. So the game theory continues. Bitty broskies. Also, more bullishness. $3.5 billion coal mining company ARPL buys 42 million worth of Bitcoin. Nothing to see here, but the pretty little Bitty spreading like a motherfucking wildfire, to say the least, and we don't need no water. Let the wildfire burn. Burn, wildfire, burn. Just saying. But there you have it. Big news in the market show. And I promised to pull up some of the live charts, so let's do it up. Doing it big. Check it out here in the 1 hour chart brought to you via TradingView via Coinbase. We do have some corrective candles obviously in play. We're currently just above 93,700 at the time of the live stream. And zooming out from there, we'll get a broader perspective, checking out the 4 hour. And as you can see, rising wedge formation overall, but big corrective red, 2 red candles in the past 8 hours. So as of this morning, a little correction, but it's all good in the hood. Also, bear scenario, 86.2 according to the 4 hour, and are working our way backwards. We'll check out the daily. We did have 7 green consecutive daily closes, and of course yesterday was a big weekly close. We'll pull up that chart next, but on the daily we have a bull scenario. A target sitting just shy of 112, which would introduce us back to price discovery, which was last seen January 20th, inauguration day, when we tapped the current all-time high, a 109.3. Bear scenario on the radar, just shy of 69 G's, baby. And zooming out a little further from there, we take a look at the pretty little weekly candle chart. Sexy cup and handle in target in play. Big green candle formed for the past week. And in fact, for the past 3 weeks, we have printed green bullish weekly candle closes as we have regained our momentum. It's going up forever, Laura. And zooming out from there, we take a quick look at the monthly. And the monthly says, dun, 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 God bless the Nippinator. And big green candle forming, not the biggest one we've seen. November is the biggest green candle we have ever had. However, a pretty sizable candle being formed. I believe there's only 3 days left for the month. And likely to close here bullish as we continue the bullish momentum here in the second quarter of 2025. And also, I remind you, it is literally 1 year after the halving of April of 2024. Typically, history has shown us 12 to 18 months preceding every halving since the very first halving of 2012, Bitcoin reaches the cycle peak. Will that happen this time around? You guys let me know. Let's dive into some bullishness. Discuss this Bitcoin yield product from Coinbase. They're about to launch this fund for the institutions, offering 4 to 8% returns. Another way for them to produce income off of the Bitty. That's right. Coinbase, the world's largest exchange in the United States of America, said they're aiming to offer Bitcoin exposure for institutional investors outside of the U.S. The fund targets an annual net return of 4 to 8% on the Bitcoin holdings. That beats the 1% they offer offer for the savings yield account at your local bank, doesn't it? Just saying, quoting him here. To address the growing institutional demand for the Bitcoin yield, Coinbase Asset Management is excited to introduce the Coinbase Bitcoin Yield Fund. The fund is backed by multiple investors, including Aspen Digital, the digital asset manager based in Abu Dhabi, regulated by the Financial Services Regulatory Authority. It's official. We come in like a missile in this piece. The yield will be generated through the cash and carry strategy. When I grew up, we used to have a supermarket called Cash and Carry, ironic enough. But anyways, through the difference between the spot Bitcoin prices and derivatives, and unlike the Ether, the Solana, and the rest of the shit coinery, Bitcoin holders can generate passive income through the staking. That's right. The GAP fund is aiming to fill, according to the announcement. Bitcoin yield funds have emerged to address the limitation, but these funds generally require institutional allocators to take on significant investment and operational risk. No risk, no reward. The new fund seeks to lower the investment and operational risk typically associated with the Bitcoin yield products, which Coinbase says will better align with the risk appetite of the institutional investors. Maybe this will help continue to usher in the institutional FOMO, like a mofo. Coinbase cited growing institutional crypto adoption as the reason behind the launch of the funds, which may have been the reason behind Bitcoin's significant price recovery over the past week. Bitcoin rose from the dead like Jesus rose Lazarus. I was just saying. More than 9% of the week leading up to April 28th, bolstering the ETF inflows, which we'll dive into deeper later. Over $3 billion worth of volume for the institutions, quoting Ryan Lee. No relation to Bruce Lee, but the BitGet Research chief analyst. Retail interest may surge. Shout out to the crypto surge. If Bitcoin breaks the coveted 100K level, fueled by the media hype and the FOMO. Monitor 94.95 resistance for the potential retail re-engagement. I got my eyes on the biddy. And meanwhile, Arthur Hayes, just blaze, predicted this might be the last chance, final call for alcohol broskies to buy the biddy below the 100K, as the incoming U.S. Treasury buyback signal the next significant catalyst for the pre-low biddy going up forever lower. And if you don't know, now you know. Broskies. Again, welcome to the live stream. What do you do? Next story, $3.4 billion worth of volume for the ETPs. We're so back. That's right. ETFs are massive inflows. ETPs bounced back with their third largest inflows recorded last week. Global crypto ETPs, which are exchange traded products, aka ETFs, posted $3.4 billion of inflows the trading week, April 21st to the 25th, marking the highest level since December of 2024. Inflows were just 13% below the all-time high of $3.85 billion seen in the trading week, December 2nd to the 6th of 2024. Renewed investment interest into the crypto ETPs came as the biddy broke above 90,000 last week for the first time since briefly retesting that price mark back in March. That's right. Bitcoin was the primary winner amongst crypto ETPs last week as investors poured in $3.18 billion into the Bitcoin ETFs. The fresh inflows covered all the previous outflows seen since the beginning of April, with the year-to-date inflows extending to $3.7 billion. Meanwhile, crypto ETPs assets under management have reached a whopping $132 billion, while total assets under management surged to a whopping $151.6 billion. And apparently Solana's the big loser. Not surprised there. Be careful with that shitcoinery, broskies. The fresh crypto ETP flows were distributed across all major issuers, including the United States and Europe. And of course, BlackRock's ETF saw the largest inflow last week at $1.5 billion, with ARK and Fidelity following at $621 million and $574 million, respectively. Now, the reason for the spike. Remember Spike from Tom and Jerry? He was the dog. I miss Spike. Nipinator does too. The latest inflows mark a notable trend reversal for the crypto ETPs, as the majority of the issuers are seeing massive year-to-date inflows from the previous week following a series of outflows in 2025. James Butterfield says the new inflows likely came from concerns over the tariff impact on corporate earnings, as well as the notable weakening of that U.S. dollar, fueling demand for the safe haven assets. The inflows also came as the gold prices saw a noticeable decline after breaking out, hitting a new all-time high of $3,500 per troy ounce. Peter Schiffmeister was doing backflips in his sleep just off of that news, but it's already corrected some, and trust me, Bitcoin's going to outpace gold for this year, so don't get too excited, Mr. Schiffmeister. Next story of the day, yo. Here we go. Michael Saylor announced a $1.4 billion buy, and we anticipated it. He posted the infamous Saylor tracker yesterday. We called it. So yeah, they just added 15,355 Bitcoin for $1.42 billion as the price surged above 90,000. Here's the official tweet, both posted by his company Strategy as well as the Giga Chat himself. Strategy acquired 15,355 Bitcoin for $1.42 billion and $92,737 per bitty, and has achieved a Bitcoin yield of 13.7% year to date for 2025. And as of 4/27/2025, we hodl 555,555 bitty, acquired for $37.9 billion. Insane, right? At an average dollar cost average of $68,459. So, I mean, there's only one Giga Chat. That's pretty massive. 555,000 Bitcoin, one company. And his goal is to own 10% of the supply. And I think he's more than halfway there, which probably be like 1 million Bitcoin-ish. But yeah, Strategy added to its massive Bitcoin stash and continues to stack the bitty. Now 535,555 Bitcoin, worth more than 50 billion. Strategy's latest buy is the largest purchase since late March, when it bagged 22,000 Bitcoin for almost 2 billion at an average price of 87,000. And you know he loves buying that dip. He's going to be buying it forever. And announcing the purchase, Saylor said the firm achieved a Bitcoin yield of 13.7%. Not too shabby. Shout out Mikey. Strategy's Bitcoin yield is an indicator representing the percentage change of the ratio between the Bitcoin holdings and the assumed diluted shares, amounting to 74% in 2024. Another divine omen for my numerology specialists out there. Anytime you see a 7 and a 4, that's an 11, just saying. The company expects to reach a Bitcoin yield target of 15% this year. In 2025, let me know if you think they'll be successful. Strategy's Bitcoin purchase came as Bitcoin caused significant bullish action for the last week, surging 8% from around 87. In fact, we bounced from 84 to nearly 94. Bring it. In the period between April 21st to the 27th, Bitcoin traded at 95 at the time of the writing, slightly above the price on January 1st, but still lower than the all-time high. In fact, 109.3 was achieved all the way on Inauguration Day, Jan 20th, but they put 21st. I'll accept it. Blackjack, baby. As Strategy beefed up the Bitcoin stash alongside the bitty rally, Saylor continued to post bullish messages to the community on social media, quoting them right here. You can still buy the bitty for less than 0.1 million. That's a fact, Jack. He also says, stay humble, stack sats, which we all know, short for Satoshis. He linked the message to the screenshot of Strategy Portfolio Tracker, reflecting the company's bitty purchase for the timeline of the price chart, and that's why we knew a big announcement was coming down the pipeline today. The news comes as Strategy is inching towards 100 billion market cap. They're also looking to become the largest Bitcoin bank in the world, with MicroStrategy shares surging roughly 23% year to date, trading at $368 at the time this article was published. Let me know if you're bullish on MicroStrategy in the Giga Chat. Holla at your boy. And again, welcome everyone joining the live stream. JV here, live and in the flesh. Blood on the hands, blood on the streets. I got blood on the bitty. Don't come sniffing. Okay, now we got some bars. I'm bullish on the as what for the GME. Bought long options. Yo, where's GameStop at? Are they going to purchase the Bitcoin? They raised like 1.5 billion, something like that. They allegedly were sitting on 4 billion. That gives them 5.5 billion. What are they doing? Are they waiting for a dip or what? GameStop, talk to me. Who cares about a roaring kitty? Boring kitty, not me. I'm for the bitty. I'm for the Nippinator. I'm for Nipsey, not for that weirdo Kit Kat kitty. Kitty cat stacking the sats. Stack the sats. We got to bring that one back. Next up, this is interesting. From an analyst saying Strategy is synthetically having the Bitcoin. I haven't even read it yet, but I'm about to dive into it for you guys. It just seemed like an interesting headline. Max chimed in and he wrote, synthetically having Bitcoin. Oh my God. Now I've seen it. Now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. So we might as well break this baby down and see what this is all about. Again, welcome everyone joining the live stream, try stream. So yeah, Saylor Strategy is synthetically having the bitty by purchasing half or more the newly minted supply from the miners every single month, according to Adam Livingston, a Bitcoin analyst and the author of The Bitcoin Age and The Great Harvest. Livingston said the miners are currently producing around 450 Bitcoin per day, or approximately 13,500 bitty per month. But Strategy acquired 379,800 Bitcoin in the last 6 months. Can you say so, Live Shock? This translates to the firm purchasing roughly 2,087 Bitcoin every single day, far in excess of the daily miner output. They also added when Bitcoin becomes this scarce, access to Bitcoin will require paying a premium. Lending against the biddy will cost more. Borrowing against the biddy will become a luxury. Business reserved for the nation states and the corporate whales, and strategy will control the bottleneck. He also says Bitcoin's global cost of capital will no longer be set by the market. It'll be set by the gravitational policies of the first Bitcoin superpower, strategy. The author's prediction of the supply biddy crunch translates into the much higher Bitcoin prices if strategy can continue its pace of Bitcoin acquisitions while the market demand for the supply cap digital asset grows amongst the institutional and retail investors. And if you don't know, now you know. Cypherpunk and Blockstream CEO Mr. Adam Back predict this strategy and other institutions that have adopted the Bitcoin corporate treasury plan will drive the market cap of Bitcoin to 200 trillion. In fact, that was our feature story on yesterday's pod. If you missed it, you know what to do, quoting him here. Strategy and other treasury companies are an arbitrage of the dislocation between the Bitcoin future and today's fiat world. Critics of the company warned that the debt-based approach to the biddy acquisition could sink strategy financially if a prolonged biddy bear market takes effect, and also warns of a greater systemic risk of the biddy from such a high concentration of the digital currency held by a single entity. However, Bitcoin advocate and author Saifedean Ammous, author of the Bitcoin Standard, says strategy's concentration and laser-eye focus of the biddy doesn't threaten the protocol. Ammous argued that institutions like BlackRock and Strategy hold high concentration of the biddy could not engineer a hard fork increasing the Bitcoin maximum supply, as it would massively devalue their holdings, which at the end of the day belong to the shareholders with the power to divest. So I'm going to repeat Max again, synthetically having Bitcoin. Oh my God, now that I have seen it, I can't unsee it. So I agree with Max and Saifedean Ammous. I don't think Michael Saylor having a Bitcoin acquisition company or having the largest Bitcoin bank is a deterrent. In fact, he works for us. Now, Michael, if you're watching, as much as I respect you, please go home and get your Shine Box. How many of you got the front run strategy, meaning you adopted Bitcoin prior to the first publicly traded company listing it on the balance sheet back in 2020? If you're in that camp, let me know, because shit, he's been pumping our bags. He's going to continue to pump the pretty low biddies, never selling, and we all know it's going up forever lower. And if you don't know, now you know. Shout out to everyone on the live stream. Now for our feature story of the day. Bitcoin likely to hit 210,000 this year in 2025, says Presto research head. And that's right. And this is in alignment with the Bitcoin power law model I believe we covered in yesterday's podcast, also projecting 200,000 by the fourth quarter of 2025, potentially by July, which is right around the corner. That's right. Mr. Peter Chung, head of research of quantitative trading firm Presto, has repeated his biddy prediction that Bitcoin will reach 210,000 per coin by the end of this year in 2025. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the analyst. So yeah, on CNBC, Chung cited the institutional adoption, the global liquidity expansion as the primary drivers behind his long-term bullish outlook. And that's why I love Bitcoin. Long-term is like 6 months. How cool is that? The analyst acknowledged that market conditions this year haven't been as expected, specifically the challenging of the macroeconomic environment and the market reaction. However, he described the recent corrections as a healthy adjustment, suggesting they laid the stronger foundation for the Bitcoin progression towards the becoming of the mainstream financial asset. Quoting him here from CNBC, in hindsight, I think it was actually a healthy correction, which has paved the way for the further reacting of the Bitcoin as a mainstream asset. In fact, there's this clip right here, and in the show notes below the video in the description on Rumble and YouTube, I always include the resources I'm getting the news from. I never just make up the news. If you haven't figured it out and you've never actually watched the live stream, maybe you only listen to the podcast version, which is the audio, but everything is obviously found from wherever. But this particular story comes from CNBC, Squawk Box, and it was posted here, and I have the links in the description. And it says here, quantitative trading firm Presto predicts the Bitcoin price can hit 210,000 this year. It's a 2.5-minute clip of Peter Chung making his prediction. No relation to Chung Lee from Street Fighter Broskies. But hey, anyways, I was always more of a Ryu kind of guy anyways. Hadouken! Chung also discussed Bitcoin's dual nature, describing it both as a risk-on asset and digital gold. That's right. It's a double-edged sword. That's right. He said the Bitcoin typically behaves like a risk asset driven by the user adoption and the network effects. However, during periods of financial stability or instability, such as the 2022 outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine conflict or the 2023 Silicon Valley banking collapse, Bitcoin tends to act as a safe haven asset, similar to gold. These movements are rare, Chung explained. They only happen. They only happen when the market has doubts about the stability of the US dollar denominated financial system. When in doubt, stack the pretty little bitty. Why? It's going up forever, Laura. And while Bitcoin has lagged behind the gold during the recent market turbulence, I repeat, turbulence, Chung suggested the bitty could catch up and potentially outperform traditional safe haven assets by the year's end. You're damn straight. I second that. Let me know if you agree. Chung also reaffirmed Presto's target for Ether, maintaining its valuation model based on the Ether to Bitcoin ratio, reflecting confidence in Ethereum's ongoing network improvements. Here's what's interesting. Ethereum achieved the current all-time high of roughly 4,500 back in November of 2021, 4 years ago. And currently it's like 1,700. It's not even half of what it once was, which is pretty wild. And Bitcoin has clearly been outpacing Ethereum. If you look at the Bitcoin Ether charts, I mean, it explains what's really happening. So I don't think ETH will likely outpace Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been outpacing ETH and likely will continue to outpace Ethereum. Since Ethereum switched this protocol, a lot of people lost trust. Yeah, I mean, also considering it's centralized, also considering it has an infinite supply, they can just continue to print it out of thin air, no different than the US dollar. And now the crypto folks are recognizing this. So expect Bitcoin to continue to outpace Ether, and expect the Bitcoin dominance to continue to outpace the Ether dominance, which is the trajectory we've been trending. Just point out the obvious, broskies. And echoing Chung's views, Bitwise CEO Hunter Horsley said in a recent post that Bitcoin surge to 94,000 has occurred with minimal retail participation, noting Google searches for the Bitcoin remain near long-term lows, which would explain why the traffic is so down on my YouTube channel. I just can't explain it. Finally, an explanation. Anyways, according to Horsley, and I wonder if his last name is Horsley because in a past life he was once a horse, like Mr. Ed or something. I don't know. A horse is a horse. Of course. The current rally is being driven by the institutional, clearly, financial advisors, corporations, the BlackRock, and even the nation states. The type of investors buying the bitty is expanding. Quoting Horsley right here. Bitcoin at 94, yet Google searches for the bitty near the long-term lows. This haven't been retail-driven institutional advisors, corporates, and nations have come into the space. The type of the investors buying the Bitcoin is expanding, and that's right, it's not coming from retail. Previous cycle, it was all about retail. This cycle is all about the institutions. It's all about the sovereign wealth funds. It's all about the nation state adoption. It's all about Bitcoin for the treasury, Bitcoin for the enemies, Bitcoin for the Kennedys. That's right, Bitcoin's over Hennessy. Bitcoin, because it goes doing. Simple. Corporate Bitcoin treasuries already hold nearly 65 billion, another sexy 11 omen. 6 plus 5 is an 11. 65 billion worth of the bitty, according to the BitcoinTreasuries.net. An April 22nd analyst from Standard Chartered, primary shareholder to the Standard Chartered Bank is none other than BlackRock, largest asset management giant in the world, currently controlling 11 trillion with assets under management. They said the institutional Bitcoin demand from the ETF and the traders seeking a hedge against macroeconomic risk could cause the bitty price more than double this year, and I've had way too much caffeine today. But I digress. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the analyst. 210,000 in play. Yay, nay, holla at your boy. And welcome to the Q&A segment of the live stream. And happy 1111 people on the stream. It don't get no more lit than that. I'm going to strike the gong. We're going to celebrate a sexy little doing. And if you don't know, now you know. We did most of the stream glitch-free. It was a little choppy in the beginning, but we got through. We had faith. Keep hope alive. There we go, 11. You always got to outdo me, sweet bitty McGee. I'm going to hit you with the 11.